In this episode, I was joined by Davidaozaeta, one of the hardest working Web3 community managers in the Upland Metaverse. DZ is the mastermind behind the push to make the Lake Waukomis neighbourhood the Layer 2 development shop hub of Kansas City. In doing so, and with the support of the tight-knit Lake Waukomis Discord community, DZ and the team are setting a great example for others in the space. DZ has been heavily engaged in the Upland Metaverse since February 2021, and he has seen and ridden all of the highs and lows since then. We talked about that journey, of course, as well as discussing some of the many contemporary events being announced in the lead up to Genesis Week, as well as many of the plans currently underway with the Lake Waukomis area. I had a great time today discussing all of that and more, of course, with DZ, and I hope you enjoy our chats. If you are willing to get busy getting busy like DZ and to create, not wait for opportunities in Web3, then you might also find yourself swimming in the beautiful waters of the Metaverse and beyond.
Warning, the information and opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved, contains content not suitable for anyone.
All right, thanks for joining us for the latest episode of the Metaverse and Beyond podcast. Today we are featuring Davidaozaeta. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's pretty good right there. Can't complain. It's a mouthful.
Yes. I'll just refer to you as DZ for short. How about that?
Perfect. That works.
All right, how are you doing this afternoon for you, mate?
I'm doing pretty great. I'm pretty excited to actually join your show. I'm always watching your show when it pops up. Can't catch it when you're going live, but as soon as I get up, I've got it.
Nice, appreciate it. Maybe we can speak a little bit to that, how this whole chat came about.
Actually, the way the chat came about is I was asking you, is there any way we can go about it? Because I've been making a lot of moves in our community, and I felt like it was time to share to all of Upland, all the members and players. Especially after Malita Studios just joined our community, I felt like it was time to like get under that rock and then start shining.
Yes, DZ is from the Lake Waukomis Neighbourhood Project in Kansas City. Lots of massive things going on over there. I would say you've been working quietly behind the scenes, but you are out and about, hustling. As you said, just had Matilda Studios join, so I'm sure we'll get into all of that a bit later on. As we tend to do on this part of the show, we just kind of ease into things with a general look at what's happening in Upland at the moment. What's your day-to-day routine? When you wake up and when you get Upland fired up, what's your go-to? Are you a treasure hunter? Are you checking in on your sales? What's your go-to plan?
First thing in the morning is definitely getting that check-in, every day, that free spark, whether it's 0.01 or 0.02 or even getting that 0.05. Starting tomorrow, you guys start doing our little routine so we can make sure we get our guaranteed earnings. Pretty excited for that. Other than checking in, see if I have any sales, see if I got any messages. I don't have a way to get my notifications set up when somebody sends me a message, so I feel like sometimes I overlook messages in the Upland platform rather than go to Discord.
Yeah, it's easy to do, especially because, you get messages in Discord, you get messages in Upland, it's all over the place. I think that reminds me too, I need to write that down. The MetaVenture Jews, I got spammed with a whole bunch of emails in a row yesterday. I happened to have headphones on while I was doing the dishes, and next minute it's bing, bing, bing. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then I realised it's the Venture Jew emails.
I need to pay mine.
Yeah. Yes, it's easy. It's one of those things that's easy to forget. So it'd be nice if there was some kind of in-game warning where you had to click on it to cancel it or something. I don't know. There'd probably be a way that you can do it because it's easy to forget.
Yeah, I know eventually Upland will make it easier on us. I mean, they got a lot working on, but eventually, someday, for sure.
Eventually, someday. That's the kind of the words of the hour, isn't it? Yes, and I should say from the get-go, what I like to do when I get my guests on board, as part of my background research, of course I have a look into your account, a bit of snooping about, see what you've been up to. Your account paints a very interesting picture of what you've been up to, but it's also interesting to go and have a look at the Discord. And I had a look before, when you came out of the gate with when you landed on Discord, you had some constructive feedback to offer straight away. So we'll get into all of that a bit later on. First up, I guess I'd like to get your take on, because this is probably the biggest news that I've seen for a while, is this whole partnership deal, Upland and the Sandbox. Well,
I'm super excited.
What do you think about that, Hal?
I felt like that's a great opportunity for Upland and Sandbox included working together. I feel like there's going to be a jump start to a massive, other than the Twitter thing for the Spark. I feel like this will get other players and other metaverses to come together and join. And, I feel like that might be like the jump start that Upland or us as players were looking for, that we needed. I'm really excited. I've actually got on Discord of Sandbox and then trying to message somebody about development shops. Come to my community. I'll hear a response tomorrow. But I think Upland's going to be creating a whole neighborhood, or giving them a whole neighborhood community for themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome when you shared that conversation with me in DM. It was just like you're just hustling straight out the gate. You see an opportunity and you're all over it. That was cool to see.
Yeah, the first one is definitely with the worm. You definitely get the first one with the worm in the morning. If you're not first, I feel like you don't accomplish anything. I feel like Upland is just, they give us the platform, and it's us players that need to, take advantage of that platform and hustle and do everything you possibly can, whether it's racing, nodes, or meta ventures. It's the perfect platform, but you have to have the work ethics.
Yeah, and you're a prime example of that. And, what's the worst that could happen? They can only say no.
Yeah,
so, yeah, good on you.
I've been told no a lot of times.
Yes. This news for me was massive. Like, when I read it, I almost couldn't believe my eyes. I immediately got to work on a little video, which I pushed out. I offered my personal 5 things that I think, or reasons why I think it's such a big deal. We always talk about Upland has the biggest, the best, the strongest community, but it just doesn't get that mainstream public, push that it really deserves. Sandbox, Decentraland, Roblox, all of those metaverses, they're always the go-to in any of the articles that talk about Web3 metaverse stuff. But perhaps this partnership might be a step in the right direction for that whole thing. And that's just on top of all of the cross-platform opportunities and whatnot.
I got a little conspiracy theory. I don't know if you look right now where the Sandbox is.
Yep.
I don't know if you see that portal back there. I feel like, the portal thing several years ago where they announced it. I feel like, with Sandbox coming in, I think, we'll finally actually get some utility out of the portal. Just by judging off the back.
You never know. It's actually, if you go over to the Sandbox and you register an account, that's the kind of page that you land on. That's the generic page. But I like the idea. I do like the idea. Yeah, there's when I was putting that video together, there were some interesting kind of crossover points to it. It was interesting that the revenue share for UGC creators is 2.5% on both sides. So I kind of said in the video, I doubt that's a coincidence. I would imagine that was probably set up as part of the original WEB3 partnership. What else? It was a classic when I was putting the video together as well. The Sandbox has their own crypto token, this called Sand, and its logo looks pretty similar to the Sparklet token. So, there's a bit going on there, I think.
Maybe someday they might even combine them. Maybe just one utility token for both platforms. Never know.
Yeah, or a joint one that can trade directly between the two. Yeah, who would know? Well, while we're on the topic of that, what was your whole take on Sparklet being listed on an exchange coming up in the future? Do you come from a crypto background, or?
Yeah, I dazzle along with crypto. I don't know how I got into Upland. It was to Telegram. It was way long time ago. To Telegram, I was searching on some altcoins through Telegram, and then I seen somebody message me about this metaverse Monopoly. So that's how I got into it. But yeah, I dazzled with some altcoins and Bitcoin, and I back in 21, I missed it. It was like when Bitcoin was at $3,000. I went all in on other
Yes.
coins, but Bitcoin.
Yes, well, you got to have a plan, and it doesn't hurt to stick to it. So I'll just show that now. So yeah, that's the sand token there, and that's, well, at least the representation that they're putting out there. So yeah, very, very similar indeed. While we're on the topic, because of the sand token, maybe perhaps looking at the chart for the sand token might give us an indication of what might happen with Sparklet. What's your plans on the whole Sparklet situation being listed on exchange? Are you somebody who's going to look to maybe cash some out or buy some, hopefully on the cheap, or just sit back and see what happens?
I'm going to actually keep mine. I worked extremely hard. Other than I don't know when you were doing the Spud Wars, when we actually got our
yes.
Sparklet.
Yep.
And then I worked really hard to get the rest of them, either treasure hunting or buying them. It's going to be massive with this with the exchange. I feel like Sparklet is it's gonna take a really high, and then I feel like everybody's going to sell, and I honestly think I'm going to take advantage of when they start selling and then the prices they start dipping. I think that would be the best opportunity for me to buy even more, because everything's going to have a cycle. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go.
If you're listening on,
announce it.
Do you think so? Yeah, it could do. This chart, the sand chart, might be an indication of that. If you're listening on the Spotify, we're looking at the Sandbox Sand, candlestick chart on CoinMarketCap, and it comes out the gate, fractions of a penny, and then it pumps right up at one stage in the pump, almost $8. And now it's trading at 40 cents and change. So, yeah, I think we'll see something very similar. It's going to be very interesting to see which way it goes first. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a drop first before people then start gobbling it all up. I do know myself and a few others are looking to sell out at least a percentage of what we've got going on. Myself personally, that'd probably be, what do I do? If I sell 10 Spark, I'll probably cash out 6 of that, and then I'll hold the equivalent of the other 4 in there as a balance, and then just see where the price goes from there. If it continues to drop, well, I may buy in, a bit later on the cheap. It's always nice if you can, like if I can take 10 Spark worth out, if I can cash some of that out, and then if I can buy in on the cheap and end up with the same balance, that's always a good plan. But of course, you got to factor in taxes and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. Like, I'm really interested in how they're gonna do the taxes, or I wonder if anybody gonna, get themselves into trouble, especially with a lot of players with a lot of amount of Spark. They transferred all that on over, sell everything.
Yep.
They might not even they might not even profit a whole lot, because they might get, the government might come get.
Yep. Well, yeah, especially not financial advice, not tax advice, do your own research, etc. But yeah, if you're somebody who has a massive Spark balance that's been built from treasure hunting, or all of the rewards and daily logins and whatnot, how would you justify that as anything else but a zero cost basis? Maybe there's a way you could spin it. So if you're talking about your treasure hunting web, maybe that could be a cost. I don't know. It could get really confusing. Of course, if you bought a certain percentage of your Spark, then that becomes a lot easier, because you can track the specific sales, and there's a fixed amount of when you bought it, when you sold it. But as you said, I think there'll be a bunch of people who probably this is their first go into all things crypto, and could be interesting.
Even with the treasure hunting, there's a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of dedication into that treasure hunting. I mean, how much is your time worth, to be honest? Like, you spend 6 hours a day, you could be making money on the outside, but you're spending 6 hours of treasure hunting, getting, X amount of Spark. It's sometimes just depending on how much value you put on your time and effort.
Yeah, I think, and it's going to be interesting that actually we're going to get a quantifiable amount of that once we see where the Sparklet token price kind of ends up. that would be a good way for people to judge, is this actually worth my time? Or am I better off recycling some cans and then putting that money in and buying Sparklet up when it's cheaper on the exchange rather than grinding it out for hours and hours treasure hunting? Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll never know what Upland's plan is with treasure hunting. If they decide to
Yep.
go back to the spark mining, how the original plan was, or they're going to keep treasure hunting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna have to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because you just never know. Upland's always evolving.
Yeah.
Whether it's for the good or the bad. Always kind of have to have some kind of plan, some kind of strategy.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because as I was getting ready, I went over to the specials tab on the store in Upland and I see that they're selling terraformers again. So they're selling 10 terraformer block explorers. You get, it costs $1,000 and you get 1 million UPEX. So basically you're getting technically you're getting the block explorer for free, but I don't know, if you was to spend $1,000 buying up the 24%, 25% under mints, you're going to get way more than 1 million UPEX on the flippage. So there's that whole debate as well. But my point is the terraformer sale. Do you remember, because you've been around for quite a while, you remember back in the day, all these terraformer things were supposed to have some utility as far as being able to mine for Spark and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, the whole Bakersfield. What was that? Was it Bakersfield?
Yeah.
I know. I went.
Yeah, Bakersfield was widely speculated.
Yeah, we're still waiting on the utility on this transformer, but it just depends. It's always a risk. Whether you have the money to do it or not. But we're still waiting on Upland to see whether these transformers are going to have any type of utility, or sometime like you always mention, Upland's always got to they got to pay for the lights.
Yes.
So
and it's also a case where sometimes the Upland community, I know I've been guilty of this myself, the Upland community gets some piece of information from Upland and then the community kind of spins it around, discusses it, and then we might be thinking it's something else entirely, and that becomes the expectation where that might not be true at all. People wild imaginations or something. I guess that's how you could describe it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a chance and see if it pays off.
Yes, absolutely. So just to wrap up on the kind of sandbox discussion, I went and had a look before. If you've never been over to the sandbox, when you land, it starts off at that landing page. It looks very voxely, 3D-ish stuff, but if you jump into the sandbox, then you're just presented with this ginormous map that just looks like an absolute mess. But from here, you can navigate to a whole bunch of different worlds and this, that, and the other thing. So, yeah, there'll be a link to this in the description. Probably worth getting over there and at least setting up an account and checking things out because, who knows what kind of rewards or opportunities going to come about as part of this partnership. You don't want to get caught with your pants down.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that, setting up an account, because I'm mostly just focused on the Upland. But that, that you might actually get a reward for actually having accounts for both metaverses. Who knows? The Upland might reward us, or just give us a little cookie.
Yes, you never know. There was that whole thing with the Sparklet airdrop where it went on the age of your Twitter account. Who knows? Yeah, if you've already got a pre-existing account before they put any announcement, it may or may not have some benefit. But yeah, definitely worth getting over there and checking it out. Anyhow,
I honestly would have tried, man, but unfortunately, I'm blocked on Twitter. I've been trying to contact somebody. I feel like there's been a mistake there. Like,
that's
seen
weird.
On the feed, Squalish. He kind of gave me the cold shoulder when it came to asking about the Twitter. He just told me, like, if you block, you're blocked for a certain reason. I'm like, I'm pretty heavily involved in the community. I felt that was like a mistake. I'm not gonna point no finger or blame anybody. I just feel like mistakes are always made, and just depending on where you want to fix those problems or not. But I would have taken advantage of it if I was not blocked on Upland on Twitter.
Could be, yes. All right. Well, that's no good. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on with Upland as far as Genesis Week. Like, we're just getting smashed with announcement after announcement here. You heading to Genesis Week? Is that something on your radar?
I hate to say it, but like, I wanted to make it this year, but I'm still on probation. I'm trying to get that all wrapped up. Next year, I'm there. I'm all the way there.
Yep. Yes.
I want to set up a booth for the Upland or for Lake Waukomis. Set up a nice booth, get everything. Have big plans. So once I'm able to go next year, it's gonna be all out.
All right. Well, you got plenty of time then if you're gonna make it up for next year for sure. Well, I guess we did get the announcement about, the Genesis season gamified earnings missions. Was there anything in there that stood out to you? It seemed pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do to get you a 5 at least to boost your earnings.
Yes, it's been pretty straightforward these last few times. Treasure hunting, or not the treasure hunting, but the racing.
Yep.
Make sure you check in every day. To buy the properties. Pretty straightforward. Just if you just want to get your 14, I feel like getting your 14.7 is like really easy. I feel like you don't even have to spend hardly anything just to get your 14, but spend a little penny just to try to get that extra few percentage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, it seemed pretty straightforward. I was surprised that there wasn't something maybe a bit more Genesis season orientated, but I guess they're just keeping it open to everybody involved. So yes, that was one of the news. Of course, we've got Start Your Engines, the Genesis Championship, which is going to be run and won, I believe, at Genesis Week. The racing side of things, I did look at your vehicle list. You have a nice bloody one of the racy cars and a couple of karts. Do you do much racing yourself? Does that interest you?
On the beta testing, I was doing a lot of racing, but I feel like now, not a lot of people want to race me when it comes to me my Pro Series car. I set up a race and ain't nobody trying to race my Pro. I feel like you need to have a Series 1 or below to get type sort of racing, especially when it comes to accumulating all the points for the tournament. It's nobody trying to race me.
There you go. The call's out. Yes. I've played around with a little bit with racing. I have a trainer series one of these, so it's not the U Beauty one like you've got. I was surprised to see that, where do I have to go? I had to go to LA recently to pick up some decor, and I jumped in the car to head over, because even though I'm a chief executive, I am a bit of a cheap bastard, and if I can go for free, I'm going to go for free.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that the S1R was, the travel time was way faster than the training racing car.
The Series 1?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just probably depends on the stats. I honestly haven't really paid attention to the stats. Perhaps because it's just a car rather than a street racing car. It could be anything. Maybe it's not street legal, so you're gonna have to slow you down a little bit.
Extra permits. More expensive fuel. Who knows? Yeah, absolutely.
Upland will ever come out with a driver's license. You can't drive your vehicle to another city if you don't pay for your driver's license. And then
they may do
an NFT driver's license. Every 6 months or every year.
Oh god, that's a pain in the ass getting that done, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Back in the original, the Better Business, that whole deal for Block Explorer shops and map asset shops, that originally there was no such thing as Meta Ventures. It was you were going to apply for a business license, and that was going to be able to be traded or sold and this, that, and the other thing. They did eventually move away from that, so yeah, who knows?
I feel like there's a lot of people that were extremely upset about how once they went and changed that about, because I was the same way. I went all in on the NFL Player Association, all in.
Yep. Yes. What are we looking at here? So they did announce as well, we've got a couple of new tours happening. There's a Washington DC tour starting, or registration starts tomorrow, my time. Miami as well. South Lake Tahoe tour. So there's 3 tours to get on with there, and I believe there's some kickback as well. I haven't done any of these tours for a very long time, but there was some award, there was something going on with these where it might be worth checking out. You get into these tours yourself?
I've done one tour. I can't remember which tour it was. Was it like the Brooklyn or like the very first tour I did it. I can't remember which one it was. It was the first one, and it was
back in the day.
One.
Yes. So you got, what is it going to cost you? If you want to get involved in all of these tours, it's 6,000 UPEX. There was some sort of prizes associated with it. Although, strangely, it doesn't outline it there. You can uncover hidden gems and earn spark along the way. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I might go and do some of those.
I mean, for only 6,000, I mean that's not too bad, especially if you get a little bit of spark. And it goes for the badges. I mean, you know, sometimes having a badge, I can't mistake me later. You know, he's like the head honcho when it comes to badges. You know, somebody's going to try to overtop him if he doesn't ever. So if he doesn't stay on top of it, I feel like someday somebody will get him.
Oh, I'd imagine now that it's buy a badge, I imagine that's inevitable. Yeah, you can just pretty much buy your badges nowadays, except for some of those old school ones, of course. What else have we got? We've got the Speedway Challenge. So, yeah, that was just inaugurated, the Speedway. This might have been it. The Genesis Challenge to win the plane. Is this what it was? I thought I read that if you do the tours. All right, what do we got? Join us for the Genesis Challenge, the ultimate event that encapsulates all the thrilling activities of Genesis Week in Upland. Throughout Genesis Week, Uplanders can participate in specific activities to earn points for the Genesis Challenge. Okay, so now the biggest thing about this was that you weren't going to have to be at Genesis Week to take part and to go in the running for that plane, which is cool. Bloody leaderboards again. My God, I'm sick of leaderboards. Where players have the opportunity to win 0.05 spark each day. The top 200 players on the Genesis Challenge leaderboard will receive exclusive awards. Here's what you can win. Daily drawings, 3 days, 25 winners of 0.05 spark. Top 10, a property in the Genesis Live City opening. Oh, do you have any speculation of what that city is going to be?
I know Paris is going to come much, much later, just a little bit. I don't feel like Paris is going to be called out in Genesis. I feel like it might just be let's see. I don't think it's going to be a Midwest. Maybe it might be somewhere around Tokyo or Rio de Janeiro, something where we haven't even opened up yet.
Yeah, there's speculation of these rife about Paris. There's also just recently speculation that's kicked off about not Brooklyn. What's the Bronx? What's the other B one?
I was hearing Cheese talking about how she's going to dump everything into that.
What is that? Not Brooklyn, not the Bronx, Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, if it's Boston, boring. Another bloody US city, boring. Let's get something exciting.
Unless it was Cheese. She thinks that's super exciting.
Yes, I think it was. I saw that came on my radar because I think it was Banana was talking about it as well. So yeah, Boston. If it's Boston, I'll be getting one showroom property and that's about it. So here's what you're talking about badges. Yes. Level 1, a few different badge types there. And blah, blah, blah. There's 2 ways that you can win an entry into the Genesis Week Grand Prize. First place on the leaderboard and final day drawing period. 1 lucky player will win an entry. And then, of course, the daily drawing windows. All right. Here's what it was, maybe. Yes, this is what I was looking at. Starting on Monday, June 3rd, players will earn entries into the Genesis Challenge giveaway, which gives you your position on the leaderboard. Blah, blah, blah. So what can you do? You can send. You can send up to a maximum of 3 cents to earn 1 point per cent. So you're going to max out at 3 points there. Meta Adventure, no cap on that, 2 points. So if you wanted to sit there spamming Meta Ventures, you could rack up some points. Property Mints, no cap on that, 15 points per action. Property Sales, 10 points. Property Purchases, 10. Spawn a treasure hunt, standard treasure hunt, 3 points. Compete in a treasure rush, 3 points. Complete a collection, 25. Compete in a race. There's a max there of 20 races and 5 point each. And that was the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, complete the 3 tours, 15 points each. Yeah.
I wonder why they put a no cap on the tours, because I feel like you can only, once you do one tour, that's like that's a little iffy.
Unless, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, does it? Yeah. Unless you're a rampant multi-accounter or something. I don't know.
No,
I don't know about that one.
You know, someday they'll get theirs.
One day, yes. No details on the compete in a race, whether this has to be a certain amount of legit players or it can be the AI players. Have you heard any clarification on that?
I feel like it would be like the same normal rules when it comes to the racing competition. No AIs, maybe the minimum of 1,500. I was speculating, you know, but you know,
yeah,
if it's only AI, man, I'm gonna fill the whole thing up with AI and then just get my what is that, my 500 points or 50 points? No, 100 points.
Yes,
get my
100 points. Yeah, and yeah, pick the shortest track out there and just bang them out. Yeah. Absolutely.
Speaking of tracks, I'm wondering when Upland's coming out with the small or large race tracks.
For the carts and whatnot. Yes. Yeah.
It's been medium for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky, isn't it? I'd love to. Well, back in the day when I set up Midtown Terrace, we've got the Midtown Terrace track that runs through the main part of Midtown Terrace, but I've also got this little area over here on the left, the Delbrook short track. That was ideally set up as a little go-kart track as well, just a little loop. The trouble with that is I'm wondering, like, if we look at the Midtown Terrace Speedway, where's that? Here, Midtown Terrace Speedway. This structure fit on that property by fractions of an up squared. Like, I was very lucky to get that on.
Did you adjust it, or was it automatic?
No, I had to adjust it.
Little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, it took a while. If that didn't fit there would be nowhere in Midtown Terrace where I could have put a speedway, because that was the only one, unless I demolished my bloody showroom, which of course I'm never going to do. So hopefully with the short tracks, I'm hoping that we get an option to be able to put it on one of these smaller properties. How have you gone in Lake Waukomis with that, as far as being restricted in what you can do because of the size of the properties?
Man, like another future goal is to get a Lake Waukomis, what was that, a racing academy. Because if you take a look at it, we have the go-kart here to the right. We have a medium-sized track for like beginners. Or the small one could be beginners, medium, and then the W-looking track that could be right here to the left, that could be advanced, and then the whole community could be like a whole loop. Yeah, that could be cool. I can get 4 tracks in there for a racing academy, but they're either too small, like the W ones, like it's like point something. Too small, and then my whole circuit is just too big. It goes above the max, and so I can't make no track whatsoever. But eventually, once they roll out large and small tracks, I'll eventually get the whole thing going, and then maybe in the future, once we get these boats going, get some boat racing going on there. Well, yeah, that's a perfect spot there, isn't it? Yeah. Because if you go to the right where the water enters into the lake, I own that property there, and that'll be the interest to get your boats in. Just speculating that you'll have to get your boats. Yep. Yes. Who knows? The possibilities are pretty much limitless with time and effort. Well, there's a couple of extra things to touch on as far as the latest announcement. I couldn't believe my eyes when I was reading this, announcing the first ever Genesis Burn Challenge. So, I don't know, I read this and I thought,
what's going on here? So basically, you're going to burn up a whole bunch of block explorers for the chance at getting some other thing. So during this period, players will need to burn block explorers from the list below to gain points. The more points you accumulate, the higher your rank on the leaderboard and the better your rewards. Okay, so again, it's a leaderboard system. So personally, the only way I would get involved in this myself is if there was a specific steps, burn X, Y, and Z, or burn 1, 2, and 3, do that and get this. This whole kind of gambling points leaderboard system, I'm not going to sit there and burn up block explorers that have financial value for a chance at something that has financial value.
Yeah, like some of them I'll definitely want to burn. Like the Bruce one, I would never burn just because.
Yep.
It was at the Brooklyn Fall when we got that Bruce block explorer when the whole system crashed.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I thought this was very strange.
To get rid of all the, I feel like it's an attempt from Upland to get rid of a lot of the block explorer. I feel like once all these burn goes throughout, they're going to come out. They're going to roll out some kind of utility for block explorers. That's.
Yeah.
I just burn all my block explorers, and now you're coming with some kind of utility.
Yeah, burnt, literally. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, whether they do different collections or whatnot as well, who would know? So what are you going to get if you burn your block explorers? Of course, you have the chance to get an entry for the NBA 300 Albatross plane. The top 3 players on the leaderboard will each receive 0.25 spark. The number 4 to 10 players will receive 0.1 spark and plus 10 points. All players who score more than 10 points will receive a variation of the Genesis 2024 Pilot Block Explorer, with 25% of those players receiving a rare variation of the Explorer. So you could potentially burn up dozens of your block explorers that have value to get one of these block explorers that has some unknown value. Yeah. Bit too risky for me.
Too risky.
Yeah.
Especially for the amount of you might get. Some of these block explorers, they're going to cost you money. Even if you don't have them, people are going to go try to buy them all out, maybe even raise the floor on block explorers so they could attempt to burn them for this contest here.
Yep.
How much money are you willing to burn?
Me, 0. That's about it. That's what I'm willing to burn. Yes, like I said, if there was some specific steps and I could calculate, okay, I have this block explorer, I think it's worth $3. This other one, maybe that's worth $8. Okay, all up, if I burn these 3, that's worth about $20. So I'll take the gamble that this other block explorer that I could get, that's going to be worth about $20. If it was like that, I'd definitely get involved. But the whole leaderboard situation is just, it's real FOMO inducing. Like if you're number 11 on the leaderboard, you're going to be wanting to burn up more. You're not going to want to miss out by one spot or, this, that, and the other thing. So, I don't know. Too risky for me. All right. And we also had the... Go ahead, mate. Sorry.
I feel like Upland's up to something on just all these block explorer burnings.
Yes. Well, it might be a prime example where those ones that you can get, it might be that they... there may be some future utility associated with these that just hasn't been announced yet. Who knows? So, yes. Again, it's all very much gambling. I've got no real interest in that myself. And, of course, every year they do the Genesis Week Ring Block Explorer sale. I had to laugh. There's a lot of wild ideas about what this pilot's holding on to. Yeah, that doesn't look like a controller. That 100% looks like a butt plug. Good on you if you get that one. That might be worth some extra value just on the novelty factor of that alone. But the Genesis rings this year, they look pretty damn cool, I would say.
Almost like some Super Bowl rings going on.
Yeah, with the Sparklet logo on there. Pretty cool indeed. Pretty pricey though. Bundle sale.
$3,000?
3,000 UPX. So $3,000, you get 3 million UPX, and you get the one. Now, I talked about this on the last podcast I did. Bundle sale. If you get one thing, is that a bundle? Doesn't seem like a bundle to me.
No.
Like a yes.
I feel like
Yeah.
somebody's
Semantics,
dropping the
but
ball when it comes to
yeah.
typing up all this. Somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah. Yes. So there's only one of those available. So, yeah, $3,000. 5 of the Lunar Glow rings available. $1,000 gets you 1 million UPX plus the Genesis ring and the Secret Flare. There's 10 of those. $400 gets you 400,000 UPX. There's a few people saying that the prices on these are outrageous. Yes and no. I mean, you don't forget you do get the UPX. Can you get more UPX if you spend that money on the secondary markets? Yes, absolutely. But that's not. If you're buying this ring, you're not buying it for the UPX, are you? You're buying it for the look at me factor.
Yeah, because what's the floor looking at the last year's rings? You know, the fire ones, the Genesis fire rings.
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe somebody could out there. Well, if they're under mint price, yeah, who would know? But then again, you're paying $3,000. You're paying $3,000, right? You get your 3 million UPX. So even if you sold that ring back for 1,000, well, then that 3 million UPX only cost you 2,000. So yeah, I guess there's some math there to play with if you're willing to take the gamble. But these make no mistake, these will get purchased immediately. The FOMO factor on these will be huge. Somebody's going to buy them. They always get sold, so yeah, they don't tend to last long.
Yeah, Upland
and then what else we got here?
Upland will get the money to the lights this month with all that.
Yes, that is one of the important points as well, of course. Yes, too rich for me. I'm not about to drop $3,000. I've been through all that period, the FOMO stuff, buying in big with different things. I'm definitely not in that sort of position myself. And then what about, there's also the treasure hunting. You talked a little bit about, you do a bit of treasure hunting. What do you think about these hunting challenges opening back up again with these specific ones?
I think I'm just going to do it just to attempt to get some of the rewards from there because I got a pretty good web in Stockholm, except for those 2 new neighborhoods they just opened up on me that they didn't even announce. I think when I bought up the floor in Stockholm and then another neighborhood just appeared, I'm like, man, I just spent like $300 buying up the floor. And
yes. Yeah, that's the trouble with those opportunities. Like that's even like how they nerfed London and Tokyo as well. You could go all in on setting up a nice web that's generating a lot of spark if you're willing to put the time in, but it's going to expand. They may get downgraded. Who knows? It's never a sure thing, is it? Yes. So yeah, I liked. I think there was a 2-hour gap between when they were going to switch over to the various cities. So if you want to get involved in all of these, you're going to have to do a bit of jumping around the map. So if it ends up in San Francisco, I was going to say I'll probably take a look, but there's that many gun treasure hunters out there that I got no chance. I've been out of the treasure hunting game for so long. My treasure hunting muscles are definitely withered up and not much use.
I definitely feel like I missed the opportunity when it came to treasure hunting earlier in the phase rather than treasure hunting now. I was like, man, I should have done that later, but you miss when you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah. Yes. All right, well, I think that's a good coverage about what's going on at present. We've kind of got ahead of ourselves on a few different bits and pieces there. Perhaps we can go way, way back. As I said, you've been around for quite a while.
3 years since March.
Yeah. Give us the heads up. How did you find Upland? What was your journey in, mate?
I was in Telegram earlier before we started the show. I mentioned that somebody messaged me on Telegram like, hey, have you heard about this Monopoly Metaverse game? It's like Monopoly, play to earn. And I'm like, oh, that looks really interesting. I mean, it was actually just Monopoly. You know, you lost me at everything. Just that word Monopoly, just it's what did it. Got in, just FOMO in, like didn't know what I was doing. It's like, I think I heard you last time talking about like, or somebody else talking about like just start buying, not knowing what they're doing. It was not till
Everybody
later
does
in
it.
Kansas, not till later in Kansas where I start developing a reason to actually play. Like, okay, maybe I should start focusing on what I want it to be like, rather than just constantly just throwing money in and just hoping for something to happen. But it's Telegram, back in the Telegram days.
Back in the days, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mentioned at the kickoff at the show that when you kind of jumped in and you started to get involved in the Upland community, it wasn't all positive from the get-go. I'll just paraphrase here. It says, after several months of playing, I finally reached director status. You said you had $9,000 more to go before you got to executive. Basically, the gist of that post you made was you kind of got to that classic point where a lot of people do, where I don't know what it is about this game, and I certainly was this way myself when I started, where you, like you say, you download the game, you buy a few properties with what you've got going on, the free UPX or whatever, you put a few dollars in maybe, you see some collections, you see a bit that and the other thing, you put a couple of $100 in, and then you get to that director level. That jump between director and executive is so massive that it can feel quite overwhelming that you're just never going to get there. Was that kind of the vibe?
I feel like that, and then a little bit of ranting. I feel like I wasn't. I haven't put a lot of thought into what I was expecting out of the game. Maybe I was just thinking, oh, I'll put some money in, then get money out, be more greedy rather than seeing a purpose. It's not all about getting rich in this. It's a community, building something for yourself. Is, like I mentioned earlier, as a platform for creators to create and build something. Maybe not necessarily to make a profit. Some people are profiting, some are not, some are losing. But mostly just about building. I feel like when I brought that up, I was like, yeah, I haven't really thought about what I really wanted the outcome of Upland to be, rather than just thinking about all the money.
So was that kind of to switch you out of that mindset? Was that the kind of point there that you took a step back and realized, hang on, there's more to this than meets the eye, sort of thing?
Yes, and I feel like a lot of players possibly run into that wall.
Absolutely.
Director status, and it's like they're not seeing the expectation that they're expecting out of it, and then they get frustrated or start ranting or rage quit.
Yeah,
I feel like once you hit that wall, it comes deeply inside to see what do you really want out of this.
Yeah, it takes a while to. I think the momentum from Uplander to director, that can happen really fast. But yeah, that gap between director and executive, like I said, it seems like a massive mountain. Unless you got bags of money you can just throw at it, which I certainly didn't.
I certainly didn't have any. Yes. I feel like I spent a little more than I should have.
Yes, we all do, yeah. Like I said, there's something about it, isn't it? There's something. Yeah, there's something about it that just hooks you in. Yeah, and for me, that was, and still is, it's the property trading aspect of it. That's what I fell in love with. That's what I enjoy the most still. All the the new flashy new things, they're all well and good, but ultimately, for me, it's the foundationary layer, the layer one property trading game aspect that I enjoy. All right, we're looking at your progress chart. If you're listening on Spotify, we're looking at DZ's progress chart over at upxland.me. Paints a very interesting picture here, mate. Let's get out of Mint Net Worth and Properties Net Worth. Just looking at number of properties, fairly consistent.
Yeah, definitely consistent.
Yeah. Started off pretty quickly. Went from 0 properties to 50 really quickly. Plateaued off for a while. Yeah, a couple of jumps. This is probably city releases, I would imagine. These little bumps here, there, and there. City releases. What are you up here? The end of November 2022, you had 189 properties and then drop back down to 160. So a bit of consolidation there. Then a very, very prolonged kind of flat period. And then we're going back to the 27th of March, February this year. What city release was that?
No, that's
Stockton. Yeah,
when I went and bought up the floor in Stockton, so I could do the treasure hunting, and then right before the release of traveling with the cars, I was like, okay, buy all these cheap property and sell it to people so they could travel to Lake Tahoe.
Yep. So yeah, it went from 107. Yeah, you can see 177 properties up to 250. Yeah, so
I think I read some credit cards there too.
Pretty stable after that, but generally speaking, pretty linear growth right there as far as the property's net worth. That's one thing. Your actual buying and selling stats, that paints a completely different picture. So we're looking here at your mint net worth and your property's net worth. You can see, based on the gap between your mint net worth and your property's net worth, pretty much straight out the gate, you did a lot of secondary purchases. And then, what do you got here? You come back close in there, lots of secondary. Such a massive gap between the mint net worth and the property's net worth, that's often an indication of somebody who's involved in a neighbourhood collaborative or a node project, or whatever you want to say, buying up the secondary floor to establish your presence. Would that be fair to say? I've just lost you, mate. You're on mute. You're on mute for some reason. Just lost him there. Maybe I pressed it. There you go.
Yeah, okay, there we go. There was a property I had in Manhattan. I took a picture of it just to. It was a property at 760 Joe Domingo Highway. It was a Maserati car dealership. It was tagged as a dealership. I sold it for $10 million UPX.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I took all that UPX and bought out all the secondary in Lake Waukomis. That's when I went all in. In order to build a community, you have to have some sort of control of who's coming in, because you can't build a community if you can't direct direct the people to come in. Like, so with all these dev shops coming into the community, it's me and then Abdo or Rob, aka Rob. We're just here. We'll take this property. We'll get you into the community, because I'm not trying to control the community. I'm just trying to control the outcome of my goals of building this community up.
Yes, absolutely. And shout out to Addo. Addo was a member of the old UDU team from way back in the day when I established Midtown Terrace and all the rest of it. So he's seen firsthand many of the highs and lows we went through. And, back in the day, we always encouraged the people that were involved in that to get out there and establish your own projects. And I think there's a lot of people that's learnt those, especially from the mistakes that we made, and then, developed their own thing and have done really awesome stuff. So I think Lake Waukomis is a prime example of that, taking that kind of initial stuff that we'd created and played around with, and then taking it to the next level, and then yourself as a person has also come on board and then taken it even further. So pretty cool stuff. So pretty big drop-offs here as well. Your property's net worth, so what were you're at 5.5 mil net worth, drop back down to 3.7, back up over 6.3, and then now you're down in the range of 5.6. So still grinding away to that next status level.
So two of those drops, either one of them for the totem, and then one is to get that Pro Series car. Like, I did a lot of trading, little swap, and trade up a lot of property value in order to get the whatever I wanted. I'm pretty sure that last one is when I got the Pro Series car. I traded a lot of my property.
Nice.
Downside.
Yes.
I didn't have the
Wait.
cash to buy it, but I definitely had property value.
It goes back to what I was saying. Hustle and make things work for you. Don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Get out there and make them yourself. I think, like I said, you're a prime example of that. What else stood out? Obviously, because you're involved in Lake Waukomis, that's where you have the most properties. 75 properties in Lake Waukomis makes perfect sense. I was interesting to note in your upland assets with your block explorers. Yeah, there's the old purple Bruce. You don't have a custom block explorer, or did you make one and then sell it?
No, I never made one yet. Like I was like waiting for like I feel like later down the line in Upland they're gonna have some better mechanism to create your block explorers. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. I guess I'm just waiting to see when I'm ready to make it. Like I could have made it a long time ago, but I haven't had no reason. There's really hardly any utility for the block explorers. So maybe once we get some kind of utility, hey, well, I can go ahead and make mine now. Might take longer to get it now, but I don't know how the process is yet.
Yes. Yeah, all right. That was interesting. And now we're looking at your upland assets, your structures. You've got 45 structures now, I'd imagine. They're all Kansas City. Is this all Lake Waukomis?
All Lake Waukomis. Building up.
Yeah, pretty cool. So 5 apartments, a whole bunch of luxury modern houses, ranch houses, townhouses, etc.
I was starting out
Very
the
cool.
townhouse
And then
apartment, thinking, eventually like renting, rent them out, get people to rent and pay you the rent.
Yeah.
That hasn't came out about yet, but like,
waiting event. What did you say? Eventually, soon, one day. That's what Buellerman always says. Yes, absolutely. Now, I did see you had a swag of the football soccer legits, so you went pretty heavy on with those.
Oh yes, I was like, man, soccer, it's multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, I even have a box of like the scarf and this. What was it? Not a visor, but it was like when Upland sent me a box of swag.
Yeah. For the to get out there in the community promotions. Yeah.
What was that called? Not an advisor, but I can't think of the word. But like they gave me.
Yeah, it's not influencer. Yeah. Yeah, promoter, sunglasses, and a scarf, and all sorts of things, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the little cooler mug thing to put your beer in.
Yes. That was cool, and like I said, a couple of vehicles and a bit here and there, but definitely it seems like you're all about the community aspect.
Yeah, most of my efforts and focus is for our community. My job is to make sure I put them first before I go about and do some other things.
Yes, and of course that takes us to Lake Waukomis in Kansas City. Lake Waukomis also has its own Twitter accounts. Now, I assume are you in control of that, or is it Addo or somebody like that?
It could be Addo. Like, honestly, I didn't know we had a Twitter page.
Well, it hasn't been updated for a while, so maybe it's a bit dusty. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to maybe get with somebody and see if we get this spruced up, get it dusted off, and get everything up to date.
So, yes, before we got kicked off, we kind of had a discussion about how you got involved in Lake Waukomis, because I don't believe you were one of the first people to set it up, but you are somebody who came into the community and then have kind of picked up the torch and really run with it to put as much focus as you can into getting it up and running into something that's, if you look at the amount of dots that are there, maybe I'll get rid of the marketplace dots because they're kind of annoying. It's one of these things where it stands out just in an island of nothingness. There's just so much going on in Lake Waukomis. Can you speak to, first of all, how you got involved in the project and maybe what you saw in there that decided, okay, this is the spot for me?
Okay, first I'd like to thank Addos and Suck. They're the one that started
this project, this idea of a community, but it was an accident. It was like strictly accident how I got involved in this community. What was it when the Spark Exchange came about? People were starting renting out Spark. Malice Sky, he owns a few properties out to the right there where Upland Kingdom is at. Malice Sky, he was doing a big project and was paying for Spark, and that was before the Spark Exchange. So I had a few Spark on me. So he traded where I own Lakeside Autos, traded that property for X amount of Spark for X amount of time. And so when he sent me that property, I was like, where is this at? And then I'm like, wow, it's a lake. And that's when the ideas started accumulating in my head. I was like, man, there's something here. There's some money to be made. There's a community to be made. And so that's when I started getting a guy with Ados. He sent me the message on Discord. Hey, you want to join the community Discord? This is what we're doing. This is the project. And then, like you mentioned, they started it, but I kind of got in and just took it one step above because I'm really passionate about this. I still believe this, like you said, around nothingness, like LA, Manhattan, all these London, Tokyo, all these popular cities. But then you got Kansas City. I'm born and raised in Kansas, but not in Kansas City, Missouri side. And I was like, we need to put Kansas on the map, and the only way to do that is to get everything concentrated. You know, if you're going to be in Kansas, you're going to be in Lake Waukomis. That's my goal and plan. I was like, when people mention Kansas City, the first thought in their mind is going to be, Lake Waukomis. That's where all the dev shops at. That's where all the Metaventures are at. The business district, the development hub. If you're in Kansas, your business will be in Lake Waukomis.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you got at the moment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 dev shops. And like we said at the start, hustling to get more.
Yeah, if you go in and they'll show up more. So I got 8 or 7 right now, I think.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't count. Yeah, 7 purple dots. No, 8. 8 purple dots. Yep.
Okay.
Currently, and then you just a whole bunch of Metaventures as well.
Yeah, so Metaverse, they're still building their dev shop to the right by Lakeside Autos, Meta Studios.
Yep.
So that dot will keep popping up once they get their shop right a little down. You'll see it here soon, right there. They're building.
That one there, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And that's one of those unique structures as well.
Yes. I was very fortunate and lucky, the first one to contact somebody from Meta Studios to get them involved.
Yep.
I even got nice to meet you. Talking with Uplando. We're going to bring Uplandia in there.
Uplandia, yep.
So we'll have a dev shop there at 1137 Northwood, or Northwest South Shore.
Yep.
And then Elijah. Man, I always
Elijah Judah.
I finally convinced him to go ahead and bring his shop on over, because he has a dev shop in Kansas City too, but it's way out south, middle of nowhere. I finally convinced him to come on over at 1129 Northwest South Shore. So he already.
So that's good. So there is opportunities where I know with the map asset Metaventure side of things, it's quite difficult to get your location changed. So there is opportunities for if you are planning on putting a dev shop out there, or if you have a location where you've put up a structure and you were planning on making that your dev shop location in Kansas City, there is a mechanism available that you can move those over. So that's interesting to know.
And we have the Next World coming in. They're the first for the hackathon for this week in Genesis by Jonathan.
Yep.
I got a feeling they'll probably take first prize. They'll win it. So I got them already invested. They'll bring their dev shop to Kansas City and Lake Waukomis. So anytime I hear about developers, I'm always contacting them. Hey, come here.
You're
Why be
straight
alone?
onto it.
Yeah, why be alone in Kansas City? You might as well be in Lake Waukomis.
Join us, yes. Is that what you feel your role is within that management team? Is that kind of hustling aspect? Is that what you're most passionate about? You know, those not face to face, but you know what I mean. Those reaching out and those in real life kind of pseudo discussions.
So us three, we never really just painted roles for each other. It's just we just had a goal for the community. I'm just I'm more of a hustler. Like I'm more passionate about like getting this going. I'm not saying that they're not compassionate or dedicated to the community. It's just when I see an opportunity, I'm gonna go ahead and take it. Like we need to build Lake Waukomis. We need these shops. So I got the district, all the manufacturers to the bottom left over there. They're all mines, but all in one section. So one-stop shop rather than, you know, sending here, going there. You know, you send one explorer there, you're able to hit all the shops all at one time. A one-stop shop.
Well, that's kind of like that Genesis challenge, isn't it? Visit all the meta-ventures where you land in one spot, you could probably bang out a whole bunch of them. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't think you could do your own though. That's one of the speculations.
No. Yeah. Yeah, which is a bit sad. All right. So I was just looking at the market floor in Lake Waukomis at the moment, and it turns out that on the floor, Ben 68, one property for sale for $30 USD. 300% markup there. If I was going to buy in here, I'd probably go with one of Eric Cooper's. Shout out to Coops. He's got two there for $35. If you want to play around with the UPX, you're looking at 100,000 UPX to get in yourself there on that one. So very reasonable on the USD side of things. A bit more expensive on the UPX. Maybe I could just say that back when I started consolidating my account, dropping from nearly 7,000 properties to now just over 600, I did reach out to Addo and see if there was anybody in the team who wanted to take these off my hands. What I'm kind of doing here is I will sell that one. That's the one for sale there on it. It's already got a townhouse on it. I'm going to sell that one. But this one down here, where is it? Here with the Mavs perch, I'm going to hold on to that one, and that's a reminder to me that I need to move over some decor and, you know, decorate that out a bit more. That has the added benefit of once you move decor over, you can't then list it for sale. I can't accidentally sell it. So yeah, I'll get onto that sometime soon. Because yeah, I tried to move away from having 3, 4, 5 dozens, in some cases, properties all over these different node projects, but it's nice to have a little foothold in there somewhere. Now, I might not be able to reach a boat there. Oh, look at that, There might be a way that I can direct access I've got a little boat there. Who knows how that whole situation's going to play out. It's going to be fascinating.
I feel like a year or 2 years from now. I'm not holding my breath on it, but someday it's going to be there.
Yeah, I think I was joking in Upland General last night. We were talking about, when you're setting your collection properties, if you want to set your collection properties at the moment, you got to scroll through, hundreds and hundreds of properties. There needs to be a search function here, or it should automatically, even if it just automatically ranked it with the highest dividend earning properties at the top, but it's just all over the place. You got to scroll manually through them all. It's a bit easier on web because you can do find, blah, 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 but on mobile it's just a nightmare. So we were kind of joking that I said maybe I'll be legit 68 years old when we finally get the search function for that. Who knows?
I had a question about you. You guys did the neighborhood. You guys finally got your collection status. Have there been any progress with everybody else that have their collection status? Like I know Upland mentioned about each node fighting for the first spot.
Yes. No. There was no fanfare. Like back in the day, Upland used to put an announcement out. So congratulations to blah blah blah. No, they stopped updating the
leaderboard.
They're still updating the leaderboard, but even on the leaderboard, and the announcement kind of post that they do, they didn't update it to put months and months worth of the node areas or the neighborhoods that won. They weren't updating the leaderboard to 2 weeks into the next month, sometimes 3 weeks. That whole situation just seems to have been very much put on the back burner. As far as that second stage, the node versus node or neighborhood versus neighborhood thing, there's been no word whatsoever on that.
Maybe perhaps once we get like 10 or more. Like, how many are there right now?
Well, it's been over a year, that system, so there's got to be more than a dozen. Yeah.
Oh. Maybe it's on the back burner until,
Yeah. Maybe they're looking for 20, or maybe they've got a fixed number. I kind of joke. I've said several times in Upland General, I think that whole system's being written on a whiteboard that's gathering dust in the storeroom in the head office somewhere. Just there's not a lot of love being shown to that whole situation. So,
or maybe they're thinking about kind of retweaking things, or like they did with the businesses. You're going to get a business license, but now they went to MetaVentures. Maybe they're going to, once you get enough, they'll turn it around and, hey, this is how we're going to go about doing it now.
Yeah, I hope that is the case, because areas like Midtown Terrace, because we pushed for, I don't know what we are, we'd have to be close to 90% developed. In the node versus node battle, we got no room to compete. We can't just, we're gonna create some more structures. Other places like the St. James area, they got their collection status with 24% built or something like that. So they have, massive opportunity there.
Yeah, I feel like some people have a better opportunity starting out rather than everything that, like, you guys already had everything almost built out already.
Yeah.
Kind of got cheated
So
out.
What do? Do you demolish a whole bunch of properties to try again? Who knows? I spent like upwards of 30 million UPEX developing Midtown Terrace. I'm not going to go and demolish it to just have a chance. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
who knows?
I feel like we'll be the first Kansas community to land collection. That's my. I feel like Harlem. They're on us. It's always a back and forth battle with Harlem, but I think at the end of the day we'll go ahead and take that once we get the opportunity.
Yes. Is that something you're pushing for?
I'm considering about making a push, but like sometimes I get some of the negative feedback. Like, if you go all out, we're already like let's see, we're like 50% already built. I feel like we made a massive push for it. It might not even get the amount of points that we were looking for it to get. So we might have to just sit back and then just let everybody else get their collection. Yeah, pull it up. We're at 13 right now. Yep.
Yeah. So the current leader is Manhattan Greenwich Village on 13.228 score, and you're not that far behind really, 12.855. But in saying that, it doesn't look like it's that far behind, but to get those extra points requires a crap ton of effort.
Yeah, we need a lot of sparks, and then we need a lot of residents. Like me and Ados, we have a majority of the properties, but we're holding onto them for future developers or business structure, or just holding out for the future, just to keep control and make sure what we want in the community to go in there, rather than it just being random. So we will have to get rid of a lot of properties and get a lot of residents to become part of Lake Waukomis, and then the amount of spark put it into the community, and then the amount on the secondary. You have to have a lot of secondary purchases that goes into the point system. I mean, it will have to be a really well thought out plan. There was a suggestion for me to get all the residents to remove their residency, wait to the first, then on 14 or 15, go back to being a resident. But I felt like that's just a cheap way or a manipulation of the system. I would rather I'd rather sit back and let, once we get it, we know that we did it legitimately, and rather than just trying to manipulate the way just to get the win. It's going to happen one way or another. We're just going to have to sit back and be patient.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we did with Midtown Terrace. Like, I did a push where, I was promoting, I reached out to everybody that had a Midtown Terrace property that I could find. I did giveaways and that sort of stuff just to see how far that pushed the needle. It did push it a little bit, but not by much. So that's how we ended up getting neighbourhood collection status. It was just riding it out. It was just our time. We just happened to be at the top of the list at the time. There was definitely no coordinated push. It was just one of those things.
I feel like Quellwood,
yes,
they have
it
the
does.
same amount of struggles
Yeah.
with Rock Regal
Yep.
and Balik. Balik, she's always been a helpful hand to me. But they already had everything already built out, so like no matter what efforts they had, they couldn't move up or down anymore. So they've been waiting for their collection status for a good amount of time, and congratulations to them, because Balik and Rock Regal, they do an amazing job. And
yes,
Malik,
absolutely.
I feel like she's like me for Quellwood, always going about looking for new opportunities, hustling. I feel like she's me for the Quellwood community.
Nice. Yes. We're just looking at the Kansas City only leaderboard now. You do have Harlem right on your tail, only a .001 score behind you. Strutwood. Are they? Yeah. And Strutwood in third. That's shout out to Masita. That's an old collaboration with the old UDU stuff there. Sherwood Estates Farrell View. Sheraton Estates Citadel. That's DAC and the UCC URL. That's their kind of hub area as well. So yes, plenty going on there. But yeah, pretty close competition at the top. I think it would have been great if they did the neighbourhood collection status per city, but I guess maybe that'd be too much. There'd be too many new collections being generated. But I don't know. There's got to be a way to completely revamp that whole system and just make it a lot fairer, maybe a bit more transparent on how the scores are calculated. There's a lot that could be done there to improve that entire system, I feel.
Yeah, a lot of work, but I mean, one way or another, it'll get done. Just like I said, Upland's always evolving. It's like they're the first metaverse. They make the mistake, and then other metaverse will learn from their mistake. I feel like they're the stepping stone. Like, oh, we'll just wait for Upland and see what they do, and then one way or another, like it'll get done. Just it's always evolving. Just gotta be patient. Gotta see what happens.
Absolutely. All right. So is there anything else particularly on your radar as far as what you've got going on with Lake Waukomis, or what you're planning to do? Shout outs you want to make?
Shout outs for sure. Aldo, Suck, Malice Sky. Without Malice Sky, I would have never gotten into the community. But without Aldos and Suck managing and getting me involved, definitely would have happened. And Balik from Cowood, I feel like she's always holding my hand. Like, David, what's going on with you? What are you doing?
That's cool. That's cool.
If you talk to her, you'll show her some of the messages. She's like kind of mothering me, like, come on, do I got to hold your hand, David? This is how you got to do it.
Nice. All right. And if people out there would like to find out more about Lake Waukomis or yourself, what's the best way to get in touch?
Definitely hit me up on Discord. We're still tweaking around with Upland notification for the messages in Upland. Like, I feel like those get overlooked so easily. So if you're on Discord, definitely you can message me on Discord, and then I'll provide you the Lake Waukomis Discord link down below.
Yep.
But you can always reach me on Upland. Can't guarantee I'll see it, because we don't get a notification. Like, I got like 99 notification on the bottom left, but it's mostly from the chats. So sometimes you don't know whether it's a message for yourself or just constant chats.
Yeah, I try to turn as much of that stuff off as I can, because it can get overwhelming at times.
Definitely overwhelming, especially with emails. Emails, there are always a lot of emails.
Yes. Yeah, I blocked. I think it might be the property purchases email that you get for that. I blocked all that, because when imagine selling 6,000 properties, and a lot of the times I'd put those properties up for sale at 8 p.m. my time. Well, they're going to get purchased when all the USA side of things wakes up. So it's 2, 3 a.m. my time, and it's just bing, 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 bing. I was like, no, this is madness. So it drove me bananas.
Going on in live. You just don't need the extra stuff.
Absolutely. All right, well, I guess that pretty much covers your story a bit and the Lake Waukomis side of things. I guess in wrapping up, I'd be interested in what's your kind of, you always talk about the 1-year plan, the 5-year plan. What's going to keep you as heavily engaged as you are now moving forward with the Upland Metaverse?
Well, number one motivation is getting ourselves into collection status. But as long as we're constantly getting new developers coming into Upland, that's always going to keep me busy. I'm always going to have to hop on Discord, see what's the next developer coming out. I always got to be the first one. I constantly got to check. So I'm pretty sure that will keep me busy. I got enough properties to get another 70 developers in. Maybe save some properties for outside businesses or outside sponsorship. Like perhaps I'm not saying Walmart, but outside stores. We want to start selling items through Upland. Don't need a dev shop or maybe a Beta Ventures. You got to save room for those guys to get them all in. That's the reason. One of the main reasons of controlling so many properties, not to be greedy, but just to get the right amount of residents in, the right amount of developers in, and Meta Ventures. Anybody who wants a Meta Ventures coming to Lake Waukomis can always message me. It's just I have a goal, and I just wanted everybody in our community to benefit. It's just not gonna be me. It's like I mentioned earlier. It's always their priority number one, my community, and then I'm second. So as long as I'm focusing on the community and making the right moves to benefit them, that's always going to keep me motivated.
Well said, and I think that's a perfect way to wrap this one up. So, but just thank you very much for your time today and outlining all of that, and pretty impressive what you've got going on as far as your hustle side of things. And definitely, yes, if you are interested in the Kansas City area or you want to, find out some more, reach out to DZ and see how you can get involved. Last word to you, mate.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. Maybe I'll get on the show with Thank Me Later and Too Super to Win. Who knows? Hopefully I'll start being on more of these shows. Thank you so much, and hope you have a great day.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
If you have an Upland, NFT or Metaverse product, service or event to promote, or you're just someone engaged in Web3 who'd like to have a chat, send me, Ben68, a DM on Discord, or drop a YouTube comment to discuss and secure your spot.